and welcome to the edition of India Development Debate, where we're putting the spotlight now on oil marketing companies because oil is certainly not well for them. Ever since the Modi government asked the state-owned oil retailers to absorb about 1 rupee per litre for petrol and diesel, investors have been dumping oil stocks. Such is the damage that OMCs have lost about 1.25 lakh crore rupees in their market value in just 2 trading sessions. Investors fear that by prodding OMCs to cut prices, the government may have brought back the APM regime, although Finance Minister Jaitley vehemently denies any such move. Foreign brokerages like JP Morgan say the government's tinkering in the free pricing mechanism means the India energy sector has become uninvestable in the short to medium term, while CLSA asserts that OMC's earnings could take a hit in the range of 23 to 46%. With no signs of a big correction in crude prices in sight, looks like oil reforms may have become the first casualty in the run-up to the Lok Sabha elections next year, and that's the topic of discussion and debate right here on the India Development Debate this evening. And before I go across to my panel of experts, I want to quickly throw some data at my viewers. 1.25 lakh crore erased in market cap by oil marketing majors and other energy companies. ONGC in the last 2 trading sessions has lost 36,000 crore rupees. Indian Oil Corporation has lost 36,800 crore rupees. BPCL has lost 25,750 crore rupees. And HPCL has lost 7,200 crore rupees. When I woke up this morning and saw a sea of green, that sea of green was infested by the energy pack. But let me take this across to R.S. Sharma, former CMD ONGC, Shaukat Bhattacharya, Chief Economist, Axis Bank, Syed Zafar Islam, spokesperson of the BJP, and Sanjay Jha represents the Congress party here. Thank you very, very much, gentlemen, for being with us. And Shaukat, if I may begin with you, markets obviously not happy, not impressed with what's happening. 1.25 lakh crore erased in market cap. Are they overreacting? Or are they worried that we are turning the back on what were the big celebrated oil sector reforms?
So a couple of things. I don't know about the markets. I mean, neither do I know about the market valuation of the companies. So sticking back to the original point that in this atmosphere of stress, where multiple points of stress, particularly from oil, was coming in, one of the key points that I think was a signal message to investors was the government's determination to hold on to the passing the prices of the rupee denominated crude prices onto market prices. So that was actually taken as a very positive signal. I can imagine that beyond a certain point, when prices of pump prices in Mumbai of petrol were crossing 90 rupees, that there might be some rethink. So I, from an economist's point of view, would have liked for the government to have stuck to letting oil marketing companies determine prices. But I also do realize that there are significant political sensitivities involved. So I wouldn't want to talk of them, but I think it's still within the realm of some degree of manageability.
Hold that thought right now. Degree of manageability we'll just discuss in a while, but let me take this across to Mr. R.S. Sharma. And Mr. Sharma, you in some sense the energy sector doyen of sorts, and you know the whole deregulation started when you were still in office. It looked like India had walked the talk on oil sector deregulation, first starting with petrol, then following it up with diesel, which was the natural thing to do. You go back a step and look at how markets punish you. Look at how investors punish you. They are not impressed. I'll talk about the politics with the politicians on the show, but have we turned our back on what was a celebrated oil sector reform, decontrol of fuel prices?
Well, Supriya, I feel, that the decontrol or the reforms, as we call it, that was applicable only till the time the crude prices were, at the manageable level. Fortunately, the 4 years, we have seen that prices remaining within the manageable range. So as a result, there was no need for any kind of intervention. But I have seen the volatile days. You have also seen. We have worked together and exchanged a lot of notes. When the initial deregulation was done in April 2002, $18 a barrel, and we have also seen that $147 a barrel. At different points of time, the government philosophies, policies have been different. So without going into any politics, but I feel any responsible government, when these kind of volatilities happen, they cannot, take a view that will not intervene. I feel the stage had come. I have been feeling quite some time, and with so much of, abnormality in the market, intervention had to come. And I'm afraid my apprehensions are that crude prices are on the upswing. They are going to get worse as the Iran sanctions actually hit a month later. Where, to what extent it will hit, we have seen that biggest of the oil traders telling that crude will, cross $100 a barrel. Imagine that kind of situation. Government cannot remain oblivious. Government has to intervene and try to bring stability in the whole system. We are still a developing economy. We are not a developed economy. We cannot leave the consumer at the vagaries of the market. So I feel that intervention had to come. This is the time the government could no more take a call that will not intervene.
Okay, government couldn't have taken a call that they will not intervene. They, perhaps many will believe, waited for far too long and tested our patience for far, far too long. But let me take this across to Sanjay Jha first. And Sanjay Jha, the finance minister, comes on record and he says, and he asks he cuts excise, he asks the OMCs to absorb, and he tells the states to do their part. 14 BJP ruled states have so far taken the lead and done that. Why have the Congress states not taken a lead on this? Why were you shouting and getting Bharat Bandh done when your state governments are not going to comply and get us some relief?
Well, before I answer that question, Supriya, we need to understand why we are in such a deep predicament. Very straightforward. I mean, if the government of Narendra Modi had been transparent and not opaque, and actually passed on the benefit of falling international crude oil prices to the common man, and not mopped up the excise duties the way they did, which basically was a manifestation of a lazy, incompetent government. You see, they just sat back and just feasted on the 13 lakh crore revenues that they got, and as a result they took their eye off the real growth channels for revenue, which should have been personal income tax, disinvestment, and corporate income taxation, and they really didn't focus on that at all, which is why this government, as Mr. Chidambaram rightly called it, is an oil-dependent, lazy government. Now you have a situation where the prices are rising and they realize that the common man, if he's going to pay through his nose, which he's been doing, by the way, for the last 4 years, I mean, not just is it a political suicide for the BJP, but end of day, it will actually be self-defeating because it will become highly inflationary. But to answer your question, we have been raising this point, Supriya, for a long time. This is not a question of one state versus the other. Karnataka, just to give you an example, actually suo moto reduced the VAT when the Bharat Bandh happened. I can tell you this, and I'm not supposed to make any disclosures, but all the governments where we are will work on trying to make sure that the consumer gets the benefit that they need to actually get, given the fact that right now the prices are not just inflationary, they are almost like virtual extortion. But why doesn't the government of Narendra Modi, since both Arun Jaitley and Dharmendra Pradhan have said it a million times, bring all the states under GST? The Congress party will support them. I'm making this statement. Mr. Rahul Gandhi has messaged it already. Yes. I'm saying it once again.
Okay.
Bring the petroleum products under GST, and let's put an end to this discussion at all on petroleum products as to why one state like Maharashtra has a very high VAT and one doesn't.
Okay, Sanjay Jha, hold that thought for now. And Syed Zafar Islam, I will come to you. And obviously the question has to be on the last point Sanjay Jha made, which is, why is the BJP not moving on GST? And my question to you is extremely simple. You thump your chest on having governments in 19 odd states of India. Only 14 so far have complied to your request to move. You have a very decisive central leadership. You cannot convince your states to put this under GST, and forget about petrol and diesel and those kind of fuel prices. You got cold feet by putting ATF under GST. It was on the agenda. You did not take it up. Rahul Gandhi has tweeted today that he will support you on GST. Why is your government, why is your central leadership shying away from this?
Supriya, as far as bringing fuel and this under GST is something which has already been stated by the Honorable Petroleum Minister that eventually it has to come, it will come. The Finance Minister
now.
has also indicated that it will be part of GST. But let me ask, no, let me just complete. You didn't interrupt others. Let me just complete. Let me tell you two things very important. The Congress Party, who was every morning, Rahul Gandhi was sending a tweet that oil prices is going up. And when he had the opportunity, at least 3 states which is ruled by the Congress Party, Puducherry, Karnataka as well as Punjab, they didn't respond to the call made by the Honorable Finance Minister. Others have responded. If they feel that the only Aam Admi lives only in the states ruled by the Bharatiya Janata Party, we have done that. We have provided a massive relief to the consumer, and despite the fact knowing fully well that the market may not take it the way it has taken, we knew that. But what is important that we have to add, Mr. Sharma has rightly pointed out, that you have to also ensure that the Aam Admi also is not neglected. Only to ensure that the economy is in sound footing, that is something which has been taken care of. Because yesterday's press conference, if you heard the Honorable Finance Minister, he spoke a few things. First, he said the tax collection is better than what we had anticipated. The macroeconomic situation, he's spoken about the macroeconomic situation, the fundamentals of the Indian economy.
I am asking you a direct question, Syed Zafar Islam. No, you can't. This is not a show where you can. No, 1 second, Syed Zafar Islam. This is not a show where you or Congress can get away by giving. ये गोलमोल का जवाब अभी चलेगा नहीं. Both Sanjay Jha and Zafar Islam. I am asking you a very direct question. I asked the Congress Party, why have they not cut prices? Sanjay Jha did not give me a satisfactory answer. I am asking you again. Why are you not bringing it under the GST? जब आएगा तब आएगा तो क्या मतलब है? अभी क्यों नहीं ला रहे हैं आप? No, why are you not getting it now?
No, tell me. Let me ask you a very simple question. By bringing under GST, will it serve the purpose?
So now you're contradicting yourself. No, Syed Zafar Islam, okay, hold your thought there. Hold your thought there. I'm going to hold you accountable to what you just said. Your ministers have gone on record to say that this will. No, I'm sorry. No, stay. No, now you keep quiet. Syed Zafar Islam, keep quiet. Let me take this across to Shaugato. And Shaugato, you know, whether it's the Congress or the BJP, Sanjay, give me a minute. Whether it's the Congress or the BJP, it almost seems like there is this magic wand of sorts, which is the GST. The moment you bring petrol prices and diesel prices under that, rates will be very good. The reality is that a revenue neutral rate may actually end up being higher. Am I not right?
No, I mean, you're absolutely right. That, I mean, with a GST, I think it's a simple, because remember, so just stepping back a little bit, I think now the burden of passing on the cuts should be more on the state governments, because the state governments are set to rake in a fair bit of revenues through their ad valorem taxes. Ad valorem meaning they are dependent on the prices of oil, unlike excise, which is a fixed rate. So I think the burden of passing on the benefits, some benefits to end consumers, I think should now lie more with states than with the center. And this is across all states, irrespective of political affiliation or whatever. So I think that's one. Secondly, I mean, rather than answering your question directly, it makes complete sense to get a revenue neutral GST rate done. So that should assuage all concerns. I'm not very sure what the issues are in not moving towards that. So that's one. The third part, very briefly, is that the levies that this government put on GST, the excise duties, I think was in principle can be defended, because that is used if all the urban infrastructure, the metros, etc., that are being built, that can be looked upon as a cess, a fuel tax to fund the infrastructure that is being constructed for metros, which is the way that we should going in public transport.
Okay, hold that thought, because, you know, I want to take this debate to the oil math. And Mr. Arish Sharma, there's nobody better on this panel to answer this question. We have seen the lofty highs of oil at $147 a barrel. We've seen the lows at about 30 in just a span of about 8, 9, 10 odd years. My question is, I agree with you that perhaps it's not going to be feasible to pass on everything to the customer. We live in a country which is extremely poor. But the counter argument to that is, can we at all go back to a regime where the government was trying to subsidize the oil marketing companies, this non-transparent regime, you know, losses ballooning for oil marketing majors? We've seen times like that as well. Can we at all go back to that oil math regime, sir, Mr. Sharma?
Well, I'm afraid, Supriya, as I reckon the times have come. Unfortunately, they will have to go back to the same regime. Even now, the daily price, of the petroleum products, I never thought that was a good idea, because we are not a fully developed economy. We can't draw comparison to those economies. Right now also there's not much transparency so far as the consumer is concerned. And as the prices are moving up, and these are the price level 4 years, they are 4 years high and they are still moving up. And I'm afraid they are further going to go up. So how the government is going to cope up? They can't leave the consumer at the vagaries of the market. So I feel in a developing economy like ours, they will have to go back to the subsidy regime, under recovery subsidies, and how they will, at least consumer has to be given some protection. Otherwise, economy, there is going to be a lot of instability in the economy if they don't do it.
All right, just hold a thought there. And Sanjay Jha, I will ask you a quick question, and then Syed Zafar Islam. My question to you is, look at the amount of money that has been lost in today's carnage. Markets fell at one point in time by almost 900 points. Some of it was on account of RBI, but the large slash was actually on account of selling in energy pack. We've lost 1.25 lakh crore worth of market cap today. So, I mean, is there a way out of this? You cut prices, you be damned by investors and ratings agencies and, people who are stakeholders in the story. You don't, you will be called an insensitive government, even though you may be doing a fiscally prudent thing. Sanjay Jha.
Well, Supriya, let me answer both questions. They are very pertinent. Number one, let us understand that this government's price cut yesterday is a very cosmetic exercise. This is just a pre-election gimmick, because there are winter elections happening in Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Telangana and Mizoram. And they do realize that once the election notification comes, they will not be able to indulge in all these benefits that they wanted to pass on to the consumers. But as far as the stock markets are concerned, let me tell you that stock markets don't like uncertainty. And what they must have actually worried about is that this government actually, by cutting down the price yesterday, and that too, by the way, the central excise is only 1.5. I mean, the rest they have loaded it to the state governments and to oil companies. The messaging is actually very conflicting, because one, if the rupee depreciates, which it has, it's now crossed 74, already your oil bill has gone up. Now, there are two, it's a double whammy, because the rupee is depreciating, the oil prices are rising. So I think the markets have figured out that this government cannot be relied upon, because this is not a sustainable model. Is Zafar Islam, who's already contradicted that they don't believe in actually bringing it under GST, he said it publicly on your program, is he going to commit today on your program that oil prices will keep getting subsidized as they rise in the international market? And one last point, fiscal deficit is already 90% exhausted for the year. So I don't know what headroom do they have for further price reductions. So basically, this government is a victim of its own political arrogance.
Okay,
it
just
raised excise duties when it shouldn't
Sanjay
have.
Jha, just give me a minute. Sanjay Jha, give me a minute. And Zafar Islam, Syed Zafar Islam, I will empathize with you to the point that even if you had not acted on this, we would have criticized you, we would have pulled you up, we would have called you an insensitive government. Now that you've done that, look at the repercussions in the market and we're still going to question you. But the reality is that you acted too late. You could have acted before. You could have acted when there would be a little, lesser cut that was required. You didn't have to pass it on to you couldn't have to pass it on to fuel retailers. You could have done it between the central and the state government. You acted too late. What were you waiting for, to amass more money?
Supriya, allow me to respond.
Sure,
and please do not interrupt me when I am speaking. Like you didn't interrupt Sanjay Jha. See, as far as the cut is concerned, government is monitoring, as Mr. R.S. Sharma has rightly pointed out, that yes, there is a level at which you have to provide some relief to the common man, and welfare of the common man is something which is paramount importance to us, and we did that, and if necessary we will do it again, because we cannot ignore the welfare of the people of this country, which Congress has done, and we did not do at the cost of the economy. Economy is a very strong footing, as I said earlier, because if you just compare the macroeconomic parameters in 2013-14 and today, the Honorable Finance Minister very clearly stated yesterday that surplus tax collection, GST is stabilizing, The other macroeconomic parameters looks very, very good, which was earlier terrible. I would say that in terms of the inflation, double digit, which is very much in control. But there are some expectation of the people of this country. Yes, we have responded it positively, and we are monitoring. We are also working for on a long-term solution that we can insulate common man from this day-to-day volatility. As far as Congress party is concerned, instead of asking anything, they look foolish when they even question government, because what they should have done, they should have cut VAT immediately on the state where they are ruling. But instead of doing that, they are criticizing government. Also, the stock market volatility cannot dictate the policy initiative by the government. Stock market volatility does not impact the economy. What impacts the economy is in the interest rate, nothing, not the stock market.
No, that's not.
We monitor. We
I
are monitoring
completely
everything.
disagree with
What
you
is
on that count. No, 1 second. Syed
In the
Zafar
interest
Islam.
of the nation, we will continue to do that.
No, Syed Zafar Islam. Let's not say only rates will determine economy and stock markets will not. Stock markets are an indicator of what's happening, and the indication is that the government has gone back on reforms that were ushered after much difficulty. That's the indication. Perhaps if the action had come earlier, there would be less carnage because the markets would have empathize with you. Today the markets believe you're too close to elections, and which is why you're doing this. This is a populist move. But having said that, completely out of time here, the Congress party needs to do some soul searching and serious answering on the fact that why have you not cut prices? When you ask for a Bharat Bandh, when other states are cutting rates, why are you sitting quiet? But having said that, this all boils down to oil math. I think we ushered in decontrol after a long period of seeing very, very high fuel prices, and now you can't turn your back towards liberalization of the oil regime. Having done that, you've actually made oil marketing companies suffer losses, and the markets, of course, have seen a carnage of sorts. 1.25 lakh crore rupees wiped out in market cap today. But thanks very much, Mr. Arish Sharma, Shaukat Bhattacharya, Syed Zafar Islam, and Sanjay Jha for being with us.